Hi, Neunje.
Hi, Abigail.
So we just came from the International Night,
Yay!
the final night of Celebrating Us here at Kusafiri, at the Achimoto Training Center in Accra, with the Girl Guides of Ghana Association.
Yeah.
So tell me where you're from and what your role is in girl guiding.
I'm Nenunje Patricia. I'm from Uganda. I stay in Kampala. I'm just a young leader in girl guiding.
Why do you say just? That's such a big deal.
You know, there are always levels in guiding, but anyway, that's how I'm just used to saying that it's just a young leader, you know, nothing much but a girl passionate about leadership.
And tell me, describe what is a young leader in your member organization?
A young leader in our organization is a girl between the age of 18 to 34 years old. Yeah, that's our definition of a young leader. So you serve in that capacity to serve the community anywhere you go. You just lead as a young girl in leadership.
And how did you get involved in girl guiding?
I first of all heard about girl guiding when I was just at school. My brother was a scout, but I really admired him for that. So we did not have anywhere in my community, we did not have any guiding. So when I came to the city, when I came for my campus university, that is when I decided to look for the offices of girl guiding. Yeah. So I basically just saw it from my brother as a scout. Then I understood that, they are also girl guides. So I just looked for the office and went there.
And you participated in the Juliette Low Seminar.
Yeah.
How was that experience for you?
Oh, there is so much I can speak about the experience of the Juliette Low Seminar. It was a very challenging experience, but it was also a learning journey for me, and full of growth, full of everything, because standing up, you know, the fact that we're even supposed to do a project at the end, it grew me even more and more, because the project I chose to do challenged me so much.
So first tell me about what the seminar was like, and then tell me about how you developed and delivered a project.
The seminar was, first of all, you know, just the way they've been handling the Juliette Low Seminar physically. Right now, we did the Juliette Low Seminar 2022, which was typically online. So it had its own challenges for us, for the internet and so on. The connections were a little bit bad, but it was typically online, and, you know, it was full of leadership. There were a lot of courses on leadership. So it was just a growth experience for all of us. It was a leadership journey. We did a lot of courses on their site, the Campfire site, which helped us to even build us for our 100 Girls project.
And Campfire is the online platform where you were able to meet?
Yes. It's Campfire.
And while you were doing this, were you placed into patrols of some sort, into smaller groups?
Yes, we were placed into patrols. Unfortunately, my patrol was not really so active. So we didn't get to know each other on a personal level or something. It was just business. And because of the time zones, I think I was only the only African in my patrol. So it was like an 8-hour difference. So by the time my patrol leader would meet the group, it was literally midnight or 1 a.m. at my place. So it was hard. Yeah.
That's a big challenge in global girl guiding and girl scouting, for sure. I've experienced that.
Yeah.
And then you had to do a project.
Yes. We had to do a project. First of all, you know, the whole process began by writing a proposal. I wrote a proposal, and I am glad that I won a grant from WAGGGS, about £150 to support me in my project. So my project was about, I was doing early pregnancies and making sure teenage pregnancies, and making sure girls return back to school. I was very intentional in the community I chose, because it was a community that people did not want to associate with really so much. So I challenged myself and I said, you know what, this is where I want to do my project from. So in this particular community I selected girls. Every girl at the age of 18 is assumed to be ready for marriage. So what happens is that, different men may admire this girl here from wherever family she comes from. So they could just parade them. They get a day and parade all the girls who are above 18 years, just 18 and above. So when they parade them, there are also potential men there who are lined up, those ones also who want wives. Whether he's married, whether he's not married, they just parade all the men there. And if the girls are paraded there and like 5 men select one girl, they are supposed to race. This girl is put in a race and the 5 men are also put into a race. So what happens? They race after this girl here, select her. The first to get to her is the one who marries her. No consent, no nothing. So what happens is, after the night when that girl is selected, she has to sleep with this man here. And after that, the parents of the girl choose the bride price the man should pay. If the man does not pay the bride price, he's killed. So it's a community where girls they have no voice. They can't speak for themselves. They can't stand out. And they also do not have school. They've not gone to school. So my only solution to them was, try to empower them, to increase their self-esteem. I did a lot of things in that journey of my 100 Girls project. First of all, empowering them using the action on body confidence. I also had a small package on free being me to just boost their confidence and tell them, speak up. Then also just making them to go back to school, because I told them if you can't go back to school, then you will never have a voice. You can't speak for yourself. You can't stand out. So I reached up to about 320 girls. On the 320 girls, 60 girls were able to go back to school. Though they kept dropping because of the challenges, but they're there.
Do you live close to this community?
No. It's about 8-hour drive.
So how did you know about this community and how were you able to build a connection with them?
My mother, my mother married, my mother is a born of, I don't know how to say it. She lives near that community there. Though she's married somewhere else, but she lived near that community. Where she was born was near that community.
Her hometown?
Yes, her hometown. That's how I got to know about it. And besides also, when you read the statistics in the country about, girls in education and so on, that community is very down.
So did you spend a lot of time in this community?
Yes. From the beginning of the year. And
how were you able to develop relationships with them in order to make your project successful?
One thing I did, first of all, is I actually had somebody from one of my old girls, one of my OGs is from that very community also. So for her, at least the father was highly placed man in the government, so she at least got an education and so on. So it was easy. She didn't want to associate with her own community, but again, at least I used her as a step to introducing me to that community. And the fact that my work, what I do personally, my job is more in the education sector, it gave me kind of a higher advantage, because when I went to the community, I just didn't go directly to the community and introduce myself. At least I went first to the district headquarters, introduced myself, what I do. So I came like in my workspace, but my target was the community. I just wanted letters of recommendation and so on. So that was easier for me to have an introduction letter. So when I went to this community and presented to the chairman, at least he knew that I wasn't. Because if I just went there to that community directly, they are so protective, I wouldn't have managed.
Did you feel welcome once you arrived?
No. I did not feel welcome alone at all. I had to keep trying. I think it was like the third time where I had to say that, you know what, I have nothing against you. I've not come to ruin the culture. Awesome. Since they are so protective, they do not accept anybody who is not from their culture inside them because they know they want to ruin, you know. So I didn't feel welcome.
So it was very brave of you. You practiced a lot of bravery to go into that space. It took a lot of courage to go somewhere so far away from where you live.
Yeah.
And to want to work with supporting them.
It took me a lot of, you know, I would sit back sometimes. Every time I shared with my friends that, you know what, I want to go to this community. It's called Karamoja.
How do you spell that?
Karamoja. So every time I wanted to go to this community, my friends were like, are you sure about this? What are you even doing? You know, sometimes, you know, you pull back and you're like, but is it worth it? But you're like, yes, it's worth it. You know, it wasn't easy, but yeah, I thank God that at least we are there.
And was there any culture shock that you experienced being in this community that was so different from your own?
So many cultural shocks. The first one was, you know, me just going there, and first of all, when you are going to the house, the LC, you know, the leader of the place, local council leader of the place, you don't go to his house while moving straight. You have to remove your sandals and crawl. Yes, you crawl to his house. And when you reach, you're not supposed to look at him just directly on the face. So the first day I go there, I go walking and I'm like, okay, it's normal stuff. They chased me away.
They what?
They chased me away because I went walking instead of crawling to the local council leader. So that was one of the shocks. I had to crawl. I learned it on the second time. I crawled to the house and at least I was given an ear. The second, after me crawling and reaching, I saw a bowl of blood in a calabash. You know a calabash?
No.
Did you see the dishes the Ghanaians are serving in, those local traditional dishes?
Oh, so it's like a carved bowl?
Yes, it's a carved bowl, but it's literally like a pot. You know a pot?
No.
I don't know how to say it, but it's a carved dish, okay? Something like this.
Oh, yeah, so it's like it might be like a carafe or a pitcher. So a carafe, yes, is kind of like a vase.
Yes.
It goes, it's like an hourglass figure. It goes in and then it comes out. Okay.
That. So,
and it had
that material.
What type of blood in it?
Fresh blood. Fresh animal blood from a cow. So after finishing the greeting and so on, the only thing they can show you that you're welcome is when they give you that bowl. If they do not give you that bowl of fresh blood, then you're not welcome in that community. So I looked at the blood and I'm like, wait, what is this for? And they told me you have to drink it. You know, it's something that was really new to me because I didn't know that, you know, people can even take fresh blood. But, you know, for the sake of what you stand for and what you really want, you really have to go through all that.
That's really powerful. So you really pushed yourself out of your comfort zone.
Yes, I did. They're just memories, really, really fresh. Really, really fresh. So I took the blood and finally shook the hand of the cultural leader. That's more like, okay, you're welcome, we can talk.
And what did it taste like?
It tasted like spoiled liver. You know.
And what animal was it from?
A cow.
A cow.
Yes. Spoiled liver. And sometimes actually that blood is got and just put on fire and fried just locally. So it comes out as meatballs. So they even have it for lunch or something. They eat it.
That's a pretty big culture shock, huh?
Yes, it is.
And also a big compliment, I guess, that they welcomed you.
Yeah. It it was something great because I know at least some people who have been rubbished away from that community. And besides, these people, they are cattle raiders. So they work with, some communities have guns. Now, like for the LC, he has a gun. So you don't know what to expect. They are warriors. Yeah, it's a warrior community.
And so once you, first of all, you overcame the leadership journey process.
Yeah.
Oh man, did they just turn on the generator? Or is that a car?
No,
okay, it's a little motorcycle that's going to drive past us.
Yeah.
We'll wait. So you overcame the internet issues, the time differences, the challenges of the growth mindset of a leader. You overcame your friends saying, Neunje, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You drove 8 hours. What are the roads like in Uganda? What type of drive was this? Were you on highways? Were you on back roads?
I was on highways, basically. And I didn't drive there. I just got a bus to the place. But the highways are not really bad. But going to that community, the roads are really dusty. So you literally reach when you're brown, when you're full of soil on you. Like, the roads are not really well made.
But you were able to take a bus directly to the community. Okay, so they're connected to buses.
I took a bus to the district. So after that, I had to jump on a motorcycle to the community. Yeah, and from the main road to that community itself, it's about 40 minutes on a motorcycle.
Okay.
Yeah, and just in paths, they don't have straight roads because they have, I don't know, how can I call it? Their homes are like shrubs, you know.
Shrubs as in plants, bushes.
They're in bushes a little bit, let me say, but they're short bushes. Shrubs grow in desert.
But their homes are shrubs, or they're in shrubs?
They are in shrubs.
Okay, I see.
And their homes are not like this. So they are grass thatched.
For the context, we're sitting inside of a brick gazebo, for those who can't see what we're motioning to. So what are their homes like?
They are grass thatched houses. If I had pictures, I would maybe show you. But maybe I can send you some pictures later.
Yeah.
But it's just thatched sticks. They get sticks from the forest and make a thatch, you know. They put the sticks together, then use mud and water to make the walls of the house. So when they use the mud to make the walls of the house, they just leave a small door like this where they enter inside. You can't enter in straight. And the house is pretty short. Yeah.
So do they mostly sleep inside the house?
Yes, they do sleep inside those houses.
But if it's pretty small, do they spend most of their time outdoors during the day?
They spend that time mostly outdoors during the day. And, you find that the main hut is here. So the other huts are surrounded like this, for the children, because the hut cannot accommodate more than maybe 5 people or something. It's very few.
And so it was quite a long journey for you to get there. How long did you stay there for?
I spent there about, the first time I went there, I spent 2 weeks. So I would go and come back. So I would spend roughly 1 week or 2 weeks in the community, then go back. 1 week or 2 weeks. But there is a time I spent up to 4 weeks, up to a month, I think, in the community when, we had started teaching about, belonging, first of all, to the teachers, because my project did not just end on that learners, because what next after you bringing the learners to school? This is a girl of 18 years. You're bringing her back to primary school. If at all she comes to the classroom and feels like she doesn't belong, she'll go back. So I had to also train the teachers I had to bring in the inclusion aspect and train teachers as focal points on inclusion. what is their role? How can they make such the learners in the classroom to belong and feel like, you know what, you deserve this, you know? And I also included the WAGGGS mindset of my path, my pace. So even if you're 18, it's okay. You can still finish school at any age. You don't have to be 10. It's not set that you have to be any age for you to finish school. So I spent about a month just working with the teachers. What can they do? Which material can they incorporate inside their learning? How do they put in the universal design learning concepts, maybe group learning, you know, partner reading, to make sure that all these learners who are being brought even in the middle of the term catch up and they're able to move at the same pace like the ones they have found.
And how far away is the school from their community?
About 5 kilometers.
So how do they get there?
They walk.
And what time do they have to be there each day?
They have to be there by 7 a.m. So you find that maybe they wake up by 6 because they're a little bit fast. So they wake up, it's about an hour. They could spend an hour on the road. Some of them spend even 2 hours on the road. 5, 10 kilometers, depending on the distance. The schools are even dilapidated, really. Yeah. They are not up to standard that you can say, okay, this is just because they did not embrace education. The community members even steal some of the school property and so on. So it's not an issue to them. So they do not take care of their schools. So you find about 3 villages sharing just one school.
And how long did it take you to, in total, run this whole process through? Did you reach 100 girls?
Yes, I did reach my 100 girls. But I used a strategy of, I created communities of practice, you know, with, first of all, the leaders in the area. So one thing I did, I requested the local councils to do, because I didn't work just on in one sub-county. I went up to 3 sub-counties. Do you understand sub-counties?
No.
These are like, they are more of local councils. Yeah. Like this is one local council, the second local council, the third local council in just one district.
Okay.
Yes. So I worked with up to 3 sub-counties. And what I would do is, you know, the communities of practice involved the local council leaders, where I would sit down and try to figure out because they know their people better. They know which girls are out of school. So it literally came as a directive. I told them I would show my work ID and tell them I want all the girls, like by force. Because I tell them, you know what, I want all the girls, all the families with girls who are not going to school, you know. So the local leaders would take me to these families. So that was how, at least it was made easier, that it wasn't me moving around looking for them, but at least there was somebody who was making me move, who knew the families and the communities better.
And did you clearly established relationships and you built trust with these people, so you made them feel included. Are there any girls in particular whose stories stand out in your mind or who you developed special connections with?
Yes. There is this one girl, both her parents passed on. I think the parents had gone to raid cattle somewhere, and they were killed in the process of raiding cattle, both the mother and the father. So she actually stays home with the grandfather. But again, the grandfather is the one who appreciated her. So the grandfather married this girl here, you know, and she was one who was very passionate. She loved school, though she couldn't even speak about it, you know, or anything about school or something like that. But she really, really loved school, you know. So she would go. She had neighbors. Who would go to school. Their children would go to school. So she would always sneak out of the home and run to those neighbors to just read to understand what have they learned from school, to also tell her about what they have learned, what is the new thing they have learned, and she could always take notes from what they have learned. So she wanted an opportunity to study, which wasn't granted to her, and the grandfather apparently would really beat her. It was very sad. It was a very sad situation. So maybe carrying it forward, when I reached, she was so excited. She was literally like waiting for somebody to come, like you're waiting for somebody to save you out of something you're in and you couldn't speak. So when I came, she couldn't share so much. She only would say that, I'm so excited. Thank you for coming, and she wanted really school. She told me, save me from this man here. So we actually took her away. She stays somewhere in town. Their town, actually, under the protection of the LC, of the local leader, because we told her, this girl you're in charge of her and her welfare and everything. So we took her away, and right now she's at school. She loves it. She loves school. Though she feels like she doesn't fit still in the classroom.
Do you know if she has a favorite subject?
Her favorite subject is math, counting. She loves it. She loves counting. So she's still, you may love something, but you're just not good at it. But you really, really want. She gives effort for whatever she wants. Yeah.
So you sometimes spent, you said up to a month at one point in this area.
Yeah.
But this was all a volunteer project.
Yes. Totally volunteer. So what happens is I work with Building Tomorrow. Building Tomorrow is an organization that aims towards increasing learning outcomes of learners in rural communities, both in literacy and numeracy. So I am given a living stipend. Yeah. I'm given a living stipend, and that is just what I use to, it's literally a passion that drives me, to just do the work I want to do. So because I am given that stipend, it's what I use to do all these community activities I do.
What are some of the other community activities you do besides this very important and very powerful project, which thank you for sharing and going into so much detail?
Yeah, one of the projects I do is using football. There is a community also in another region where girls also do not go to school. There was also a notion of sex for pads, So we tried to design a way of how can we keep these children in school. So we're using football for education to just keep girls in school. Most of my projects are around keep girls in school, keep quiet in school, because we believe that education is just the root of everything. Yeah. So for this particular project, we use football. We opened up clubs in the rural schools, and they compete. Back home, a lot of people love football. The girls and the boys, all of them love football. So when they hear that there is a match somewhere, they will get from wherever they are, and come just to do the match. So that's one of the projects, using football to keep girls in school. So I organize inter-school competitions in the villages. So what happens is you can only register for that competition or to be in the team if you're only at school. So you realize, and each school has a coach that we work with. The coach is one of the teachers inside the school. So when we organize these competitions here, we bring their parents to come and participate to support them, because they go in first for the matches before the learners also go in for the matches. So they love it, and that is how we're also keeping some of the children in school.
So my next question is, so you told me a little bit about that project earlier about the soccer and using soccer or football as a way to, American over here calling it soccer, football as a way to keep girls in school.
Yeah.
And you have a social media that you use to talk about that, right?
Yes.
Do you want to tell us about it here so that anyone who listens to this podcast can go follow it and keep up with the work that you're doing?
It's called Edible.
And can you spell it out?
EDULLUG. UG is for Uganda. U and
yeah, great. And it's on Twitter.
It's on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah. It's on Twitter and LinkedIn.
It's on Twitter and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Excellent. Good. If you are listening to this, whoever you are in the world, first of all, thank you for listening to us. And second of all, go find those and follow them and like them and support, because this work is so cool. It's so powerful. So clearly you are an empowered woman.
Yeah. I don't want
Yeah. And you are empowering other women. That wasn't a question. That was a statement. That was not a question.
Thank you.
I have been so inspired by you this week, everything I've learned about you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I've been able to connect with you here.
Yeah, I'm also glad.
I'm so glad. I'm enjoying celebrating here.
That's amazing. I'm also enjoying. There's so much learning to do.
So much learning. Do you feel that there have been some specific things from this week that you know you're going to take away and take home and take back into the world as a global citizen in your leadership practice as a good leader?
There are a lot of things I'm taking back home. Number one thing I'm carrying back wholeheartedly is to treat myself kindly. Yes, it's a WAGGGS leadership mindset, but it's something that I have overlooked most of the time. Sometimes you cannot focus, you cannot give what you don't have. I support a lot of people emotionally. I support a lot of people. But sometimes you forget yourself in the process. So I think it's one thing I have to learn, that I'm also important, because if I do not, take care of myself, then I cannot support any other community. Then there's so much I have learned to appreciate, that we are all different, and even in our differences, there is so much we can learn from each other. In one of the communities we visited during this Celebrating Us event, it was a community with differently abled children. And while we were interacting with those children there, I was thinking to myself, how am I practicing inclusion, in whatever I am doing? Sometimes we leave out these people here very unintentionally at times, but it's one practice I want to carry forward and try to be inclusive in just everything I do.
I know that people around the world with special needs and all sorts of different abilities are treated very differently depending on where they live in the world.
Yeah.
What is the experience like in Uganda for people with special needs and different abilities?
It's tough. It's surely tough for them, because sometimes even they are not provided for, even in just, for example, if I could give a setting of a classroom, you'll find that maybe there are stairs to a place instead of rails, where at least people who are, physically, they could pass, but they cannot, because, they are not provided for in any way. So also in workspaces, people find it so hard to employ people who are differently abled. We don't have, actually, if I could do a statistics, it's about 2% of differently abled people who are really employed in the workspace. It's tough for them everywhere. It's not easy to find find a job. It's not easy to interact. It's not easy to even go to school. Some families even hide their differently abled children. You there are some communities, some of these people here are looked at as bad omen. So if at all even a woman was to give birth to a differently abled child, they would ban her and her child from the community because they find them as bad luck, something like that. But yeah, there are a lot of strategies of inclusion that are coming into place that are helping different organizations and people coming up. More organizations are also coming in to support and train, most especially on inclusion. Yeah.
So since we are coming to the end of our time here at Kusafiri for the Celebrating Us event, we've been asked by our facilitators to start to brainstorm how we can move forward after this event and reach out to communities that don't usually have access to Girl Guiding or Girl Scouting. How have you started to brainstorm that? And clearly, you're someone who thinks big about reaching communities.
Yeah.
So I'm eager to hear what you have in mind for this next outreach project that you may undertake.
The first time when I first took on this project here, it didn't cross my mind that it would turn out into like this and I would get attached to the community. This one where I did the 100 Girls project. So leaving it at this stage would be like, pouring all the milk on the floor right now. So I've not yet really thought of any other place I could go to. I just want to focus more still on this community, reach more girls because there is no guiding in this community here. So after building the relationship, I want to introduce guiding to them because yes, they know I'm a guide, I'm a girl guide, but they have not reached that point of, it would be too much for them working on this, then introducing them to guiding at the same time. They easily reject things. So I just want to take one step at a time. So I just want to continue working with that community going forward and also just try to scale my goal to reach about 1,000 or 2,000 girls and also make guiding very strong in that community.
I think that's so excellent.
Yeah.
I have a decision to make since you've put so much time and effort and you've become a part of the community too, and they've become your community. And as well as that, it seems to me if you don't do it, who is going to get them connected with guiding and who is going to empower those women in leadership?
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing about that as it continues to develop.
Yeah, I will surely keep telling you what's going on, but I also wish, it's just not about me, but also the structures themselves, because sometimes systems may fail work from going on. So I would also introduce guiding maybe to the people above, so that maybe it's also they embrace it and, from them, so that the community members could also hear it from them and pass it on and on and on, because the sustainability plan has to be built. It's not that I may spend the rest of my life in that community, no. But what happens when I am not there? It's something I'm also thinking about.
So my last question for you tonight is, if you could use your voice to advocate for one thing, if you could give all you have for one thing, and I think you may have already mentioned it while we've been talking.
Mm-hmm.
If you could give it all for one thing, what would you give it to?
I had to take a deep breath.
Yeah, let's take a moment. That's a heavy topic. We've covered a lot of things and you've already given so much. You're so young. How old are you?
I'm 27.
You're 27. Oh my gosh, you have such a long life ahead of you, and you are going to reach you probably already have reached thousands of people, and you will continue to reach thousands and thousands of people. And think about, right, all those people, all the people that they reach because of the positive impact of your leadership.
I know.
You're going to reach millions of people with your positive impact.
Oh. Yeah, I believe you. So if I would use my voice, I would definitely use my voice to advocate for the rights of girls in my community. Equal opportunities to education, basically, because my heart is really, really there. You know, I almost did not get an education growing up, but if I didn't have a mother who is really dedicated, then my journey would have also just ended there. But yeah, my mother took us on. We did a lot of things, to make sure that we survive. And now we are here. But I feel every girl, every woman out there deserves an education at least. When you receive an education, you're empowered. You can think independently, and you can do a lot of things on your own.
Okay, I do have one more question that I actually thought of, even though I said that was the last one. So we talked about the WAGGGS leadership outcomes and mindsets a little bit.
Mm.
One of the outcomes is to treat herself kindly.
Yeah.
When you're doing all of this heavy lifting and making the world a better place, that's a heavy emotional labor.
Yeah.
That you're carrying around on your shoulders, in your heart, on your mind. On top of your whole other life that we haven't even delved into, that I still hardly know anything about because I've only known you for like 5 days.
Oh.
So how do you treat yourself kindly through all of your work, and how do you care for yourself so that you yourself are sustainable in your own life and your own work and your own joy?
Most of the times, I'm a nature lover. I'm a nature lover. Sometimes it's so overwhelming, but nature has a way to calm me down. So I visit parks so much, and the botanical parks around the place I stay. And I just do those nature walks there. And they make me feel good. I love listening to music, live band music. So sometimes I just take myself out and listen to that music. Yeah, but most of the time, Abigail, I forget to treat myself. I do forget to treat myself kindly, but it's one thing that I am learning. It keeps on coming to me and tells me, you know what? You can't give what you do not have. You can't give what you do not have. If you can't treat yourself kindly, it's hard. Even when you pass it on, it's not long term. It's very short term. Yeah. Then friends, we talk about a lot of these things. Yeah, different challenges, different communities, different everything. And just,
Well, thank you so much. Can I give you a hug?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I kicked my teeth.
Thank you.
Thank you.